Alright, so in this video we're going to be making some grilled sea bass today. It's one of my favorite fishes to grill on my Kamado Joe. It's the type of grill that I use here. And we're just going to make a little video about how we do it here at our house. We're going to set it up for an indirect cook. Sea bass is a pretty delicate meat, so you don't sear it, you don't put it directly over the heat. And you don't really smoke it in the traditional sense, so I'm not going to be using any wood or anything else like that. It just overpowers the fish and kind of makes it taste a little nasty. One of the things you can use is like a cedar plank like this and have the fish just cook on this. Again, this is on the indirect side of the grill, so it won't have any fire touch it. Normally what I do is I soak these for about an hour or two, toast them right over the fire so they get a little charred on there, and then I put the fish on there. We have a different cedar plank that we're going to be using today that's reusable, so we're not going to char it. We'll show you that in a little bit. But what we're going to do right now is get the grill fired up, then we're going to prepare the fish, and then we'll show you how we cook it. Alright, so we have some of the lump charcoal here, and we have some fire starters. We're going to go ahead and light them up. I use these over lighter fluid. Lighter fluid is just a chemical. I don't want it to get near my food. Rather not even start with it. Takes a little longer to even get the coals heated up these way. These are natural, using a little bit of wax on them. So once they get all fired up, try to put some of the larger lumps that are going to help with the cook directly over them. See, they're still lit down there. So we're not trying to crush them. We're just trying to get these things ignited. Takes a little while for this to get all heated up, but we'll be ready here in just maybe 15-20 minutes. We're going to let this heat up here. We have the vents wide open down below. Once we have the fish all prepared, I'll show you how I set up the grill for dual zone cooking, because we're going to have a heat deflector here. You'll see it in just a little bit, blocking the direct heat, so we can have the fish cooking over here without the flames directly touching it or the cedar plank that it's going to be on. Let's go take care of the fish. Alright, so we have 2 sea bass fillets here. Seasoning, it's actually pretty simple. First, what we're going to do is I have a couple limes here. If you don't have limes, you can use lemons. All you're doing is trying to get a little coating of that over the fish. I use this cedar plank here that I mentioned earlier. This one's going to catch anything that drips off the side, which will be nice, because it'll just help kind of steam and keep the fish with the butter and all this other stuff that you'll see we'll be putting on it here. So first we put the lemon. You can put as much as you want. A lot of it's just going to roll right off. So it pairs really well with the sea bass. I wouldn't be too worried about putting too much on there. Again, most of it's just going to roll right off. And this is the only time that we're applying it. We'll be basting it with the butter throughout the cook, so not too worried about putting too much lime on there. Alright, I think that's good. The next thing that we're going to do is put salt and pepper. I love these Gravity salt and pepper shakers. Make it really nice and easy. The last thing that we're going to do is we have some melted butter here. You can either mince fresh garlic, which I don't have. So we're just going to make a little bit of a garlic butter. Put some of that in there. The last thing that we're going to do to put in there is just put a bit of paprika. It really is not going to come off too strong, but it does add just a tiny bit of heat, if you will, to what we're doing here. So let's make this mixture here. And what we're going to do is we're going to be applying this to the fish throughout the cook. So what I try to do is I don't like actually rub it on the fish. I kind of just ladle it on and let it drip on. That's going to let me get some of the garlic on there. But all we're looking for, as you can see, there's a nice little coat of this. And throughout the cook, we'll be applying more. It'll help keep the fish moist and get some of that nice seasoning in there. So we'll keep this handy, and every 10-15 minutes or so throughout the cook until we hit temperature, we'll be applying some of that. So that's it. Let's go get the flame ready and get this on the grill. All right, we're approaching 300 degrees here. We're getting close to the temp. Because we're cooking indirect, we want the temp to be higher, but not too high. I think if you're doing something low and slow and you're smoking, you're going to be going at around 200 to 300 degrees. If you're searing something, you're closer to 500 degrees. I think for us, we're going to be nice and happy at around 350 to 400 degrees for this, because again, we're constantly going to be basting the fish and we're not going to be cooking under direct heat. So let's go ahead and set the grill up for cooking. This is going to allow us to create two-zone cooking. So we're going to put this grate down on the lower part. This is going to be used maybe for some veggies in a little bit. It's a little toasty. There we go. What we're going to do is on the other side, this is where the fish is going to be. We're going to put this deflector plate, and this is going to keep the fish from getting any type of direct heat from the flame and protect the cedar from igniting. Cedar's also been soaking for a couple hours. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to put the fish right here. We're at a pretty good temp. I'm going to go ahead and close some of the lower vents because I want it to slow down on the heat that it's getting. And let's go get our fish. We'll put it on here in just a second. All right, we're right at about 300 internal right now. Let's go ahead and put the fish on. A couple things that I'm trying to do here is, one, make sure that the largest, fattest part of the fish over here is towards the direct side. I'm not anticipating that we're going to be getting any direct heat from there, but I'd rather be safe than sorry. Generally, I do that. All right, the other thing too is I'm not cooking for a set amount of time. I'm cooking for a temperature. I think that was the biggest thing for me when I was getting really into grilling. We're not going for 20 minutes or 40 minutes. It's about making sure that the fish hits its temp, or whatever meat it is that you're cooking. So for the sea bass, we're going to try to hit 135 to 145, and because we're cooking indirect, it'll take a little bit longer to do that, but we'll also be protecting the fish because of the indirect. So I'll be probing it. You can get fatter cuts of sea bass and thinner cuts. This one probably won't take too terribly long, but all we're going to do now is every 10 minutes or so we're going to check the temp of the grill, make sure that we're not getting too high. You're going to see it start rising here because we had it open. I want it to settle around 350 to 400. We'll keep basting it with butter, and we'll just probe it every so often to make sure it's done. So right when it's around no higher than 145, we'll pull it from the grill and we'll be ready to eat. All right, so we're cooking at about 375 right now, right in that range I was going for. See here, the fish is looking nice and good. So let's do this. Let's go ahead, apply a little bit more of our butter to it. Again, we're drizzling it on because we don't want to knock off all the other seasoning that we put on there and let it get caught up on the rack. Again, we want to keep this as moist as possible. One of the benefits of a ceramic grill is it will keep it from drying out more so than a kettle or propane. So got that going for us. All right, there's that. And why not throw in some onions to grill on the direct side. Just put a little olive oil, a little salt, pepper. Doesn't go well. I have some bell peppers as well. A couple minutes, I'll flip those, and we'll just continue on with the fish. All right, I think the onions are about done. Good. I'm gonna do the peppers now. Again, olive oil, these don't need seasoning. You don't need to put pepper on peppers. Some people put salt on them when they eat them. Put them skin side down, just olive oil it so they don't stick. It's more or less the only thing you really need to worry about. You can go for some char if you want. It doesn't always taste so well on a pepper afterwards. So we'll get these guys going for just a little bit here. Let me close this up so the flame doesn't get too high. And we'll check on those in a bit. Alright, so the onions are done, the peppers are done. The fish has been on for about 25 minutes now, so let's just probe it, see what the temperature is. Again, we're shooting for that 140, 145 area. Let's see where we're at. Generally, we want to go to the thickest part of the fish. Yeah, we're probing at about 90 degrees right now. This one's 92, 93. So we're going to let it keep cooking. Just gives you an estimate if, again, you're trying to get to that 135, 145 zone. 145 is really my target. Just keep checking on it. When we see the butter begin to be fully absorbed or run off, we just apply a little bit more. We go until we hit temp. I temped it a few minutes ago. It was like 135, 138 on the thickest part, so we already know it's fully cooked on the thinner parts. Again, we were doing this indirect. You can see that the meat's already beginning to pull apart and flake a little bit. That's usually a good sign, and you're going to see some crispiness on the edges here. It's going to feel a little crispy, which is good. The inside's going to be super, super moist because we've kept it with the butter this whole time. So we're going to go ahead and remove this from heat, and we'll go get a taste tester on it. Again, indirect makes this really easy on a Kamado because you have the heat deflector. If you have a kettle grill like a Weber, just put your coals to one side and have the cedar plank on the other side, and you should be good to go. All right, let's take this inside and get a taste tester. All right, so the fish is cooked. We got a taste tester here. You don't like a lot of food. You're kind of a picky eater, right?
Kind of.
Do you like fish?
Sort of.
Sort of. So if you like this, that means it's really good.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's try. We're going to get you a little piece here right off the edge.
It's okay.
So that's probably, for most people, really good. It's just okay. What's better? Hot dogs are better? Chicken nuggets are better? Goldfish crackers are better? So it's better than goldfish. That's saying something.
No. Goldfish is much better.
Okay. Well, the piggiest in the world says it's okay. So that's how we grill our sea bass. And you can check out...
Sea bass!
Sea bass. All right. Follow along if you want to watch more videos from the grill.